Welcome to my YouTube channel, The Historical Wars. Let us see today a story of Bar Kokhba Revolt 132 to 136 AD, known as a Jewish rebellion in Judea against Rome, led by Simon Bar Kokhba. The Bar Kokhba Revolt, which took place between 132 and 136 AD, stands as one of the most significant and devastating episodes in Jewish history during the Roman period. Following the earlier Great Revolt of 66 to 73 AD, which culminated in the destruction of the Second Temple in Jerusalem, tensions between the Roman authorities and the Jewish population in Judea remained high. While some degree of calm returned to the region after the initial revolt and the subsequent Bar Kokhba uprising was delayed for several decades, the underlying resentments and religious cultural friction between the Jews and the Roman Empire remained unresolved. A major catalyst for the renewed violence was the Roman Emperor Hadrian's policies aimed at consolidating Roman authority and cultural uniformity, including efforts to suppress certain elements of Jewish religious identity and autonomy. Hadrian's decision to found a new Roman colony called Aelia Capitolina on the ruins of Jerusalem and his ban on circumcision, a core tenet of Jewish religious practice, were seen as direct attacks on Jewish identity. The naming of the colony after himself and the Roman god Jupiter added insult to injury, reinforcing the perception among Jews that their sacred city and religious heritage were being desecrated. These policies ignited a deep sense of outrage and betrayal among the Jewish population, particularly in light of previous expectations that Hadrian might have restored some autonomy or allowed the construction of a pagan temple to Jupiter on the site of the destroyed Jewish temple on Mount Moriah further escalated tensions and pushed the Jewish community toward open rebellion. The revolt was led by Simon Bar Kokhba, who came to be known as Bar Kokhba, a name meaning son of the star, a messianic title inspired by a prophecy in the Book of Numbers. Bar Kokhba emerged as a charismatic and militant leader who commanded widespread support among the Jewish populace, particularly those who yearned for national liberation and the restoration of the Davidic kingdom. His leadership was endorsed by influential religious figures such as Rabbi Akiva, one of the most prominent rabbis of the era, who declared Bar Kokhba the long-awaited Messiah. This religious endorsement lent the revolt a messianic fervor, encouraging thousands to rally behind Bar Kokhba's call for war against Roman rule. Bar Kokhba's forces initially achieved a series of remarkable successes, managing to drive the Roman forces out of significant parts of Judea and establish an independent Jewish state that lasted for over 2 years. This brief period of Jewish self-rule saw the minting of coins bearing Hebrew inscriptions and symbols of Jewish sovereignty, such as the temple facade and palm branches. These coins served as potent symbols of resistance and independence, reflecting the rebels' determination to reclaim their heritage and establish a new Jewish polity. The rebels fortified strongholds across Judea, including the region's extensive cave systems, which they used for refuge and guerrilla warfare. Despite their early successes, the Bar Kokhba forces faced a formidable opponent in the Roman Empire, which ultimately responded to the rebellion with overwhelming military might. Emperor Hadrian dispatched his most experienced generals to suppress the uprising, including Sextus Julius Severus, who was brought from Britain to take command. The Roman counterinsurgency campaign was methodical and brutal, characterized by scorched earth tactics, mass executions, and the systematic destruction of rebel strongholds. Severus employed a slow but relentless strategy, encircling rebel-held areas, cutting off supply lines, and starving the rebels into submission. The Romans also targeted the civilian population of Judea in their campaign to eradicate support for the rebellion. Entire villages and towns were razed, and tens of thousands of Jews were killed or sold into slavery. The devastation was so severe that Hadrian refrained from using traditional victory language in his reports to the Senate, reportedly omitting the customary phrase, "I and the army are well." The scale of the destruction was a testament to the intensity of the fighting and the determination of both the rebels and the Roman authorities. Some ancient sources suggest that up to 580,000 Jews perished in the conflict, though these numbers may be inflated. Nevertheless, the demographic and cultural impact on Judea was catastrophic. The decisive battles of the revolt culminated in the fall of the rebel stronghold at Betar in 135 AD, a moment that marked the effective end of large-scale resistance. According to rabbinic sources, the siege of Betar was particularly brutal, with massive casualties and the reported killing of Bar Kokhba himself during the final assault. The fall of Betar was followed by a series of mopping-up operations as Roman forces scoured the countryside to eliminate any remaining resistance. The aftermath of the revolt saw a dramatic transformation in the landscape of Jewish life in Judea, with significant long-term consequences for Jewish history and identity. Hadrian sought to erase all traces of Jewish sovereignty and identity from the region. The name of the province was changed from Judea to Syria Palestina, a deliberate effort to sever Jewish ties to the land and associate it with the ancient Philistines, traditional enemies of Israel in the biblical narrative. Jerusalem was rebuilt as a Roman city named Aelia Capitolina, and Jews were banned from entering the city on pain of death, except for one day a year on Tisha B'Av, the anniversary of the temple's destruction. These punitive measures were aimed at breaking the spirit of Jewish nationalism and preventing future uprisings. The spiritual and cultural ramifications of the Bar Kokhba Revolt were profound. The loss of Jewish political autonomy and the subsequent Roman persecution led to a shift in Jewish religious thought and practice. Rabbinic Judaism, which emphasized study, prayer, and communal observance rather than political sovereignty and temple worship, became the dominant form of Jewish life. The sages of the post-revolt era worked to preserve Jewish law and tradition through the compilation of the Mishnah, the foundational text of the Oral Torah, ensuring the continuity of Jewish identity in the diaspora. The revolt also had significant consequences for the broader Roman Empire. The scale of the rebellion and the resources required to suppress it demonstrated the limits of Roman power and the challenges of maintaining control over distant and culturally distinct provinces. The experience may have influenced later Roman policies of greater accommodation and indirect rule in other parts of the empire. Nonetheless, Hadrian's harsh repression of the Jewish revolt was largely successful in pacifying the region, at least for a time, though at an enormous human and cultural cost. From a historiographical standpoint, the Bar Kokhba Revolt has been the subject of intense scholarly debate, particularly regarding its causes, leadership, and impact. Ancient sources such as Cassius Dio provide a Roman perspective that emphasizes the severity of the conflict, while rabbinic texts offer a more ambivalent view shaped by theological reflection and communal trauma. Archaeological discoveries have played a crucial role in deepening our understanding of the revolt, revealing the daily lives of the rebels and the physical geography of their resistance. Despite the ultimate failure of the revolt, the Bar Kokhba uprising occupies a pivotal place in Jewish memory and identity. It marked the final attempt in antiquity to restore Jewish sovereignty in the land of Israel and underscored the enduring desire for national self-determination. The destruction wrought by the revolt led to a Jewish diaspora that would last nearly two millennia, yet the memory of the struggle persisted in liturgy, legend, and historical consciousness. Bar Kokhba became both a cautionary tale and a symbol of heroic resistance, embodying the tensions between messianic hope and political realism. The psychological toll of the revolt and its suppression left deep scars on the Jewish people. The destruction of communities, the trauma of mass killings and enslavement, and the loss of hope for immediate redemption contributed to a more inward-focused religious life. The emphasis on martyrdom, endurance, and spiritual resilience in later Jewish thought can be traced, in part, to the lessons learned from the Bar Kokhba experience. The longing for Zion and the hope for a restored Jerusalem became central motifs in Jewish prayer and poetry, sustaining the people through centuries of exile. The Bar Kokhba Revolt thus stands as a monumental episode in the history of resistance, identity, and perseverance. Though ultimately defeated, the rebels left behind a legacy that shaped Jewish history for centuries to come. Their story continues to resonate with those who seek to understand the dynamics of faith, power, and the enduring human aspiration for freedom. As such, the revolt is not merely a historical event, but a symbol of a broader struggle that transcends its time and place, reminding us of the enduring power of hope and the human spirit. This is all for this video. Please subscribe my channel for more videos. A bundle of thanks for watching.